On today's Tech Help for Churches, YouTube and copyright. Hi, and welcome again to another episode of Tech Help for Churches. This is the show where every week we talk about using the internet, new media, social media, etc. in your church. My name is Paul Allen Clifford. I'm your host, and I'd love for you to join the conversation, so why don't you just do that below the video? If you're listening to the audio, that's cool too. Why don't you just instead drop me a line, paul@trinitydigitalmedia.com, or if you really think, man, I wish you had a toll-free number, or I wish you had a Twitter account. Well, I've got all that stuff, but instead of listing it, just go to trinitydigitalmedia.com/contact. And you can find all that there, or just leave a comment there as well. That's perfectly okay. So I was thinking, okay, what haven't we talked about YouTube? And all of a sudden it occurred to me, copyright. You see, as churches, not everything we do is legal in and of itself. So the first thing that you should know is that playing music in a worship service, whether you make money on it or not, is okay, as long as you don't record it. But since we're talking about YouTube, then obviously you're recording while you're doing so. If you upload that to YouTube, you may very well get dinged for copyright, even if you think, well, we only sing hymns. Because as it turns out, some hymns that you would think, oh, those are totally public domain, not public domain. Others you think, okay, that one definitely under copyright. No, not so much. So you really have to do a little bit of digging and research to even find out if hymns are under copyright. So it's really confusing, really convoluted. So it's not hard to be dinged for copyright on YouTube. And especially if you've got a contemporary service, then it's really easy to get dinged. Now, there are licenses you can get that provide for the artists, provide for the record companies, and make it so that you can do this legally. Unfortunately, there's no way to tell YouTube that you're cool with that until after you have a problem. So let's talk a little bit about the background and a little bit about what you can do. So the first thing is, this all stems from the fact that YouTube was sued in March 13th of 2007 for $1 billion by Viacom. Now, Viacom alleged that YouTube was wantonly, egregiously, brazenly, I think one of those wasn't what they alleged, but the rest of them were violating copyright by allowing users to upload copies of their stuff. In the meantime, YouTube was working in the background on something called Content ID. Now, Content ID allows copyright holders to upload kind of a digital version of what they have, and then YouTube will automatically match when someone else is using that. So we've seen this a lot of times with videos and music videos. Sometimes it's something as simple as someone is lip syncing, or they're singing their own rendition of the song, etc., and they will get dinged for copyright. Whether they're making money on it or not, by the way, they'll still get dinged for copyright. So when that happens, that's a result of Content ID. Now, if you're a church and you've got the CCLI streaming license, or you've got the Church Copyright Association streaming license, you're covered. Except, as I say, there's no way to tell YouTube that. So your only recourse is once they say, hey, there's copyrighted material in this, to dispute it. Now, most of the time that's going to go fine. They're going to say, oh, sorry, our bad. We know that you're cool, and everything's fine. The problem is when it doesn't go that way. And I've got a tale of woe to tell you. This week I'm celebrating 10 years of my first podcast, Technobabble, which Thursday we're going to celebrate that. And almost immediately I wanted theme music. So I went out and I did some research and I found this awesome unsigned band. Awesome! They were called Fireflight. Now, some of you may think, I know a band called Fireflight. Yeah, I discovered them like right before they hit. So I just happened on them and I got specific written permission from the band themselves, from the original artist who at that time had not been signed, to use their song as a theme song for my show. No problems whatsoever. Until March of 2014. Yeah, March 2014, I get dinged for copyright. No problem. It's been 8 years, 9 years, almost 9 years at this point. So I do my research and I write back and they say, nope, sorry, it's not legal. I say, but I have specific written for permission from the band before they were signed. And they say, nope, it's not legal. I say, but how is it not? And they say, well, you can appeal in court. And I thought, I don't think I can, because that would require money that I don't have. And your church is possibly in the same situation. If you don't do due diligence, if you don't have all your licenses, if you don't have everything in a row, you have problems. So let me tell you, just because you haven't had any problems, like I hadn't had any problems for 9 years, doesn't mean you're not going to have problems like I did towards the beginning of the 9th. So that's something that I want to get across. So it's not the case that YouTube is trying to be evil. They're just trying to cover themselves, because all these copyright holders are trying to make sure that their rights are protected. And it's not even necessarily that the copyright holders are being evil, because a lot of times they've got a third party, and the third party has a contract to find these videos and basically get money out of them through monetizing your videos. So when they do that, they get paid, the content owner gets paid, everybody's happy, unless it was a legal use that had already been paid for in another way, or had already gotten specific written permission, and then the little church, the little YouTuber, the small guy gets trampled all over. And so that's what I want you to be aware of. I want you to be aware of this possibility that your videos can have problems if they're on YouTube, if you have copyrighted music in them, even if you have specific written permission, because there comes a point where you just can't do anymore. Other than hiring a lawyer and taking them to court, you just can't do anymore. So you just have to surrender. And I hate that. I hate that I've got videos on YouTube that I should be making money on, but I'm not. I'm not, because a third-party service won't believe that I have permission from the band. And despite reaching out to the band, they're pretty busy nowadays since they hit. So I'm kind of out of luck. Well, I hope that helped you. I hope that that was a cautionary tale, something that will help you and your church as you're going out and changing eternity. If you like this content, don't hesitate to subscribe to my email newsletter. Today is actually, if you're watching this the day that it's released, it's the last day of a program that I'm doing where I've got a coupon code that makes one of my books, The Serving Church, which is all about my journey as a volunteer in my church. It makes that book, instead of $9.99, $2.99. Now, I'm not going to give you that coupon code because you should have been on my email newsletter like I've been telling you for months now, and you would have gotten that. So that's just another example of the great content that I provide on my email newsletter. And if you like that, you might like my store. So head on over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/store to go there to get my newsletter. I've got some free gifts for you. So go to trinitydigitalmedia.com/gifts, GIFTS. And until next time, go out and change eternity. This is Paul Allen Clifford with trinitydigitalmedia.com.